Good morning. It's 8:10 in the Calumet region. Welcome into the Griffith Public Schools show. My name is Brian Jennings. I'm your host. I have to my right the superintendent of schools, Leah Dumazic. Good morning. Fall break. We're here working.
And we are indeed.
Thanks for tuning in today. Again, as we mentioned, this is fall break. We just finished up the end of the first quarter, had parent-teacher conference last week. Students got their grades, the parents had chances to meet with the teachers. First 9 weeks are in the books, Mrs. Dumazic. It was a good start to the school year. A little bit, obviously, first part of the school year there's always some kind of I don't want to say issues, but there's some transition and some changes and things like that. But I think we had a pretty good smooth start to the school year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had Panther Pride Night, we had homecoming, our PTC put on Fallapalooza. We're very fortunate and grateful to have an amazing elementary and middle school, high school PTC. So that event was at no cost to our families. It was in the Boneyard. We had concessions. We had some vendors there. They had games. We had Hocus Pocus 2 was the movie we played on the field. So the kids were able to enjoy that. I want to say the event was about 5 hours. It was a really great time. So we're big shout out to them. We also had our annual Trek or Treat. And that is something that Melissa Dickelman puts on each year. It's expanded over the years. It started around our track outside, and then it went into the field house, and now it's in the field house and wraps around the entire first floor of our middle school, high school building. So I think it was our highest turnout yet. I think we had nearly 650 kids. So that was an awesome event, and that goes to fund, I believe, Unified Sports.
Right. A lot of things happening on campus with the end of the first 9 weeks. Athletically, what happens now is we're transitioning into the winter sports season. Volleyball season is complete. They got beat Saturday morning in the semifinals of the Highland Sectional in 5 sets. So they had a nice season, losing 3 seniors, but nevertheless a club with a lot of young talent coming up. Football just finished the regular season, 8-1, won the conference. I know the football coaching staff has bigger fish to fry, you might say, and they have bigger expectations than winning a conference, which is nice, but they want trophies, and they want sectional trophies. And sectionals start this week. We play at Bishop Knoll on Friday night, taking on the Warriors. The way it works out is if we win on Friday night, we will be on the road week 2. Either will be Jimtown or Knox. Of course, Russ Radke, the head coach at Knox. A win there in the week 2 would mean that we are home for the sectional championship. So first 2 games are on the road, assuming we win this Friday night. The next week would be on the road as well, and then the championship would be at home. But first things first, they've got to take on Bishop Knoll and Coach Rick Good.
One thing I'm really proud of is the amount of discipline that you see and how it's resonating with our students on the football team.
Right.
From Coach Mason and his staff. They've done an outstanding job, and their leadership has really made the difference at our school.
Oh, there's no question about it. Across country, we had some people place for the regional qualifiers. Gabe Gorel, Ethan Knuth, and Melody Metz advancing to the regionals in cross country. So congratulations to them. Soccer has finished up the regular season. Their season is over with. They were both beaten in the postseason. But nevertheless, we've got a good young program coming up in boys and girls soccer. So in terms of fall sports, that's pretty much where we are at right now, getting ready for winter sports. Girls basketball tryouts begin today and tomorrow, 4 o'clock in the main gym. You have to have a physical on file, a current IHSAA physical. You also have to be registered in Final Forms and have everything checked out in Final Forms. While we're on the topic of athletics, we have a new assistant athletic director. Meredith Danton has joined us. Very good. She was an athletic director down in a middle school down in Indianapolis. She's a locals grad. She graduated from Andrean, and she comes to us this year, and she's joining Olympia Teenstra in our athletic department. So we've had some changes in athletics, but we welcome Meredith.
I just ran into our former AD, Stacey Adams, actually last night at dinner, and he raved about Meredith. So we're excited to have her on the team.
Yeah, he speaks very highly of her. So that's where we are at athletically. Boys basketball tryouts will begin, I think, in about a week or 2. New basketball coach Cam Ashley and his staff, he's had his kids working hard. If you haven't met Coach Ashley yet, when you do, you're gonna really understand why he's been as well received by our staff and by our kids as he has. He's just an outstanding person, very disciplined, structured, wants what's best for our kids. So between him and Coach Kevin Ballard, we have new basketball coaches on the boys and girls side, and So that's starting. Wrestling is starting. Coach Soika working hard. Swimming's going to be getting going. It's just a busy time right now, but it's an exciting time. I think everybody gets excited when fall season comes around, especially when you have the week-long fall break.
Some of us do, yes.
Some of us get it, some of us don't. But, like I always say, you chose your career path and we chose ours. So nevertheless. So anyhow, let's talk about what's going on in the Griffith Public Schools. We'll turn it over to Mrs. Dumazic. You can sort of give us a state of the school address, of the district address, and what's happening.
So we have, I think the huge topic right now for most area superintendents is SEA 1 and its limit. What it's doing, it's limiting our local property tax funding, reducing money for teachers, programs, and student resources. I think we're looking at approximately $744 million over the next 3 years due to SEA 1.
744,000, correct?
No, $744 million over the next 3 years.
Oh, from the state.
Across the state of Indiana.
Yes.
So that's going to be your impact to your public schools. In the state and across the nation, we're still educating 90% or more.
Sold, but they're saying that they're turning the opportunities over to raise taxes more to the local municipalities if they choose to do so, correct?
Correct. So not only is it hurting our public schools, it's also hurting your monies for your first responders, police, and fire. So we are all working at, what does that look like? Because, schools, we look at a budget, and it's really hard for us to see what that budget's going to look like.
Right.
We're hoping they open the budget up again. We're going to need it. I'm not sure how most of your public schools will be paying their NIPSCO bills if they don't open that budget again. So it's been a really trying and challenging time. That budget again. So it's been a really trying and challenging time.
And much like you do in your personal households and your personal budgets, we're trying to make changes and cuts and really trying to be careful what we do. For example, some of the things with wintertime coming, we talk about closing our blinds. We talk about leaving lights off when you leave the building, keeping your doors shut in the classrooms when kids aren't in the building, and a lot of that is to basically try to save energy costs, because obviously the NIPSCO, somebody's got to pay the NIPSCO bill, and obviously it goes up like everyone else's. So we're trying to do little things in the building, and it could be something as similar as just being careful how much paper you use, because we're always trying to find ways to save costs. And
I think that it puts a unique challenge on each school district. Ours specifically, we're a smaller community. Anyway, and so it's a hard pill to swallow when you successfully pass a referendum, but you still have to look at reductions over time.
And, some people might say, well, and this is where I think this is the big push, or not, I don't want to say push, but I think this is where the big hot topic will become. Some people are asking, well, how are you paying for this athletic facility, this new pool, and all that kind of thing? But when it comes down to it, that's different money from the money that's generated through referendums and things. Why don't you sort of explain that?
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of misinformation on school funding. So your primary two funds would be your education fund and your operation fund. Your education fund is going to pay for everything that touches a child directly. So those teachers, aides, your principals, their secretaries, and then you have your operations fund. That's going to be like your bus drivers, your NIPSCO bill, your maintenance, your custodials, your central office staff. And so I think the confusion with some of the projects we do is that you have what's called general obligation bonds, which is typically used to offset spending in operations. And then you have your leasing bonds. That's going to be for your bigger projects. So there's that. And then there's the referendum money. So the referendum money, it's monitored by the DLGF. And so I actually put information out recently about how many bus drivers, bus aides, teachers,
yes,
and staff that referendum is specifically supporting. Of course, safety and security is one of them. Transportation is a huge part of that referendum. And then being able to retain the teachers that we have. So the projects that you see around are from bonding. Okay, and so you want to make sure that as debt falls off, you carry more debt to keep your tax rate neutral, and that's always the goal. That's why we work so closely with Baker Tilly to make sure that we are being fiscally responsible. So when you look at the aquatic center, that is bond money. When you look at the indoor athletic facility, which is where the old pool was,
right,
that is bond money. And the turfing. So when you look at the track that we're doing and the football soccer field that we're doing, number one, it needs to be done, right? It gets graded, it gets tested, and after a certain amount of time, you have to do it. So that's not something that was a want, it was a need. The aquatic center, one could argue, I guess, that it's a want, but we had a pool that was over 60 years old. And so when we did an analysis to determine whether it was more economical to build new or try to build within that space, it was determined to build new would cost us less money. And so to take that space and really kind of reinvent it to support our kids in programming, the idea of, practice gets rained out. We don't have to do that anymore. We can go inside. We have the space. We have a cardio lab. We have a huge varsity area for our locker rooms, which haven't been renovated since I don't know when.
Oh, they're the same locker rooms they were in the 60s, I would argue.
So I know there was room out there. Well, you just did the locker rooms. No, we did the main gym locker rooms, which is your boys and girls basketball. And so, again, these are things that haven't been touched or taken care of or supported for many, many, many years. And so we're trying to chip away at those things one at a time. And then HVAC, that's, heat and air. We need heat and air. And so we're almost finished with the entire middle school, high school. I think we're working on our last sections over the next year.
Right. And I think that'll be the main hallway, the B hall. If you know the G, where the G is on the carpet, I think it's going to be that area. That's the next thing. You mentioned keeping the tax rate neutral. Just talk about if it drops too low and the effect on the community and on the households, if that's the case.
Well, if you let that tax rate go too low, that's going to be in your operating fund. So that's going to hit your bus drivers, your ability to do transportation in a district. And for Griffith, that's a really big deal.
Right.
I mean, we still have kids on a waiting list right now. I'm sure everybody's aware that there's still a national shortage for those bus drivers. And so, we're taxed with having to do overtime and things. And we have enough buses, just can't find enough drivers. And so if anybody is a bus driver or looking to be trained, we will train you, and we still need at least one more bus driver, if not two.
The thing about it too, in today's day and age of education, and there's many, and I think that's the one thing that this pops in my head, we pride ourselves at Griffith on is giving our kids opportunities to do many different things, but with those many different things, it comes at a cost. And you're always trying to keep with the Joneses, so to speak. Now with the new aquatic center, there's also a community element to that as well, because obviously you're working close with the community. And I think that's one of the benefits of being in a smaller district like we have in Griffith. We work closely with our town and with the town leadership on trying to have a good relationship with them and do activities with them and collaborate with them. And I think that's where the pool comes in, because I know that's one of your big ideas and one of your big pushes was getting community involvement and community opportunities to use the new aquatic center.
Right. So, I mean, your public schools should be the heartbeat of your community, and you should be serving your community, or at least that's my belief. And so, we spend a lot of time at our senior center, which is awesome if you haven't been, whether that's creating lunches for them. I know our Panther Adult program just did a bingo day for them. Timberly
Kinney, yep.
Yep,
Our assistant
Mrs.
principal.
Kinney does a great job of facilitating that. And our choir just went and performed for them. Our band performs for them. And I really want to take that group of people and get them in and do some senior swim classes and an opportunity for people in our community to see, all the programs that we have to offer for our kids. We may be Griffith, but I always say it, and I stand behind it, that our kids are just as deserving as schools like Crown Point or like Central or Munster. And so they should have beautiful facilities. We want that, right? I mean, it means something, and it's that pride to be able to come into something, and they take care of it, right? Because it's a beautiful facility. It has all the bells and whistles for them, and we want to be able to provide that. I mean, that's the most important thing, is to make sure we're educating, our youth, and that they're coming up and having all those opportunities. And equally, when somebody says, well, you don't need a pool. Well, we need it as much as we need a football field or a soccer field or baseball. If that's a child's passion, then we need to stand behind them. And I feel the same way about music and the arts, and that's why we invested in our theater program. I mean, our band just came back with a gold, ISMA. I mean, they've done amazing. Our choir, our art programs, theater's been outstanding. So I think that it's really cool that we can have kids that are on the football team and the lead in the play, or they're on the baseball team, but they're a double or athlete sport.
Absolutely. From the second part of the semester coming up, starting next week when we come back on October the 27th, that's the time of the year where, we're getting to the end of the first semester, and the second 9 weeks goes extremely quick for everybody from the elementaries to the high school, because you have Thanksgiving break in there, you have Christmas break in there, and I think our Christmas break starts on the 22nd, I think, this year, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a quick time, but it's also a time where, with the end of the 9 weeks coming up, means that, from the high school side, there's credits, and seniors especially are going to be getting to a point where they're starting to plan graduation activities. They're looking at their postseason or their post high school careers, what they want to do. So from the high school perspective, for the seniors, it'll be a busy time. Mrs. Udich is our director of counseling. She handles a lot of the seniors, if not all the seniors, and she'll be having activities and meetings and trying to meet with the seniors, trying to get their plans in place with the other counselors in the department. They're also, scheduling will be taking place at the high school and the middle school level. And the thing about it is, there's changes now to graduation requirements for the freshman class beginning this year. And a lot of those changes and a lot of the new requirements don't always include straight academic type classes. There's a lot of other activities to it. So that puts a burden on things. And why don't you just talk a little bit about the new graduation requirements, Mrs. Numazichin, and then we'll sort of fill in the blanks, so to speak, with the middle school, and then work our way down with the elementaries, because as we get ready for the second half of the school year, that's when a lot of things will start to happen for a lot of these kids in terms of getting ready for sophomore year and beyond in terms of their classes and their activities.
I think the most, we have obviously all the different seals. And it's kind of difficult to explain. You still have that honors, of course, but I think the biggest change for us in being able to respond is that work-based learning component, and those kids getting X amount of hours for one seal. Right. And if they want the better seal or the higher achieving seal, they have to have that many more work-based hours. So it's really trying to think outside the box and be creative on how these kids can earn those hours, because much like other communities, I mean, our kids are so involved. And so to find the time for them to do it, not that it's not a good opportunity, right, but when you're talking 75 or 150 hours, that's a lot for students who are helping with other siblings, right, or playing a sport or involved in clubs or in music and theater. So I think that's going to be the biggest challenge going forward.
We have Maureen Chavez-Rita, one of our business teachers, who sort of is the go-to, you might say, in working with the community, trying to develop internships, job opportunities, that sort of thing for our kids. And the work-based learning component is nothing more than what it sounds like. It's getting the kids out there working in the community, getting them their hours that they need to apply towards their graduation. Now, as Mrs. Numazich mentioned, there's different levels of diplomas, you might say. There's your honors diploma, there's your general diploma, there's your core 40, whatever the case is. And the biggest thing is, for the most part, there's some difference in classes in some aspects, and there's some differences in work-based learning hour opportunities. But at the end of the day, you just have to get one of those. You get one of those seals, so to speak, towards graduation. It is very complex, and it is very challenging to understand at times. And for the parents of the freshmen now and incoming freshmen, especially as eighth graders, you'll be meeting with your counselors to plan your I guess you might say, path. But obviously, that's a big challenge for a young kid to try to figure out which way they want to go right now in terms of getting a high school diploma. And
it's a huge challenge for your guidance department to follow these different paths and to be able to monitor that over time from eighth grade through graduation. Right. But they do a great job, and in the coming months, pay attention to what we're putting out there online and on social media. For Mrs. Udich and the entire guidance department does a great job of putting on training for filling out your FAFSA forms, for looking at different career and technical opportunities for job training after high school or going directly to college, whatever your choice may be. Applying for grants, right, and all those things that are really important moving forward as they leave high school. So pay attention to all those postings, because they are doing a lot of training and hosting a lot of events for parents and for seniors to get engaged in to help them along the way.
From the elementary school perspective, obviously there's things happening down there as well. Katie Garvey is the new principal at Wadsworth Elementary. Amber Kane is the principal over at Berger Elementary. The kids from Berger feed into our middle school at Griffith, and obviously the elementary kids down in Wadsworth will eventually work their way over to Berger. But those two schools work very closely as well as the kids begin their transition from one building to the next.
Yes, and they've had some exciting times. I know at Wadsworth, Mrs. Garvey, Mrs. Zahorsky, several of our team over there were pied in the face by quite a few kids not that long ago. They were doing some attendance incentives, and same at Berriger, but it looked a little bit different. We had a student takeover, and so the students took over the school for a day, which made a lot of radio traffic.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
So the whole district got to kind of get in on the fun and laugh quite a bit throughout the day. And so it was funny to interview the kids and say, well, how was it? They said, it's exhausting being a teacher. Well, what was so exhausting? Well, they didn't pay attention. I had to tell them over and over again. And, or being the principal or learning about some of the security measures that we have in our schools, following one of our custodians or maintenance around for the day, Mr. Moe, who's very popular with the kids at Berriger, or Mr. Andre over at Wadsworth. And the kids really enjoyed it. They had a good time. It was a great opportunity for our staff to laugh and enjoy. And sometimes, right around this time, it gets really stressful.
Right.
It's the time I think that all educators need a break, and a well-deserved one at that.
Mrs. Dumazic, as we wrap up the show for this month, just any final thoughts or anything you want to mention before we move on?
I do just want to reiterate how important it is to be mindful of how you vote. We want to continue programming. We want to continue to support our kids and give them the very best that we can. And I just want to put that pressure on you. You have to watch what you're doing in terms of the voting box, because the kids in Indiana, they need our voters to pay attention.
So that's going to do it. If you have any questions regarding any of the activities in any of your child's buildings, you can reach out to the building principals. You can reach out to Katie Garvey over at Wadsworth, Amber Kane over at Berriger, Alana Anderson over in our middle school, and Mr. John Chance at the high school. A lot of things happening on campus. The one thing I think we pride ourselves on at Griffith is, as you said earlier, giving our kids opportunities to experience many different things and try to sort of find their niche.
Yes, and I do believe we have another social studies teacher of the year. Is that right, Mrs. Hogan?
I believe so.
Yes.
I believe it is.
Yes,
accurate,
and that's the second year in a row that we've had that
Yes.
social studies teacher of the year come out of Griffith, so we're very proud of that.
We've got a lot of good things going on in the Griffith Public Schools. That's going to do it for our show for the month of October. We will be back in November, right around Thanksgiving break. I think we're off again when we have our next show. Well, at least I'm off. Nevertheless, for Leah Dumazic and our entire school district, my name is Brian Jennings. Thanks for